Oh me, oh my. Well, I hate to bring us down, Aaron, but of course we have to speak. Since last time we recorded, I think I speak for both of us. Our favorite, probably favorite all time heel manager slash heel commentator, uh, passed away in Bobby Heenan, man. And what were your thoughts on that?
I was very sad, and although I wasn't totally surprised. I mean, the man had been battling throat cancer since 2002, and it's amazing that you could actually fight cancer. A lot of people don't even get to fight cancer for 16 years. It's amazing that he lasted as long as he did. Although to see him physically in the state he was in his latter days was pretty bad. That being said, I won't remember Bobby Heenan for having cancer. I will remember him for being the best manager of all time and one of the best commentators of all time. We always talk about his managerial career, which was stellar. You can't take anything away from that. He was a hell of a talker, but he was also one of the best commentators of all time, whether it be with Gorilla Monsoon in the WWF. And I know you do too. I really enjoyed his WCW commentary because
Yeah,
he made a whole lot of matches that were terrible in WCW's, especially in WCW's waning days. He could make them entertaining just by his words. You may not have been into the match, but you sure as hell were into what Bobby Heenan had to say.
yeah, and you nailed it. No, it's funny for people when I'm 36, Aaron. How are you now these days? 33?
Yeah, I'm 33.
Okay. You're same age as my sister. I should be able to keep up with this. Uh, it's funny because I'm just old enough to remember when Heenan was still managing, and you would have been a little boy whenever he retired from managing full time. So we were actually caught the tail end of his managerial career. So in my brain, he's always been a great manager, like you say, but I identify him more as a commentator who was also a great manager, who was easy to hate as a manager. But I think, and of course this is before my time and yours both, he had also had a wrestling career and had done pretty well as a chicken shit heel, essentially. As a
A very brief wrestling career. Didn't I think he may have gotten injured at the time. At least that's what he would always say. He had gotten injured and kind of killed his career. However, though that in ring experience uh, aided him well in his managerial career because he took a whole lot of bumps for a manager. Other managers do took a lot of beatings and stuff back in those days, but he could really bump around and fly around the ring. And go back and watch some of his stuff with like Ultimate Warrior and stuff like that. He really flew around the ring for Warrior
yeah,
and did whatever it took to get a storyline across.
he did. He took many a beatings, and I'm reminded of the story that the late Nick Bockwinkel told, uh, which was that the touring group in the AWA, the heels were Bockwinkel, Stevens, and Bobby Heenan was their manager. And on certain nights, they could pull Ray Stevens out and have a special tag with Heenan and Bockwinkel, or take Bockwinkel out and put Heenan with Stevens, and still the heat was always there. But if they took Bobby out and it was Bockwinkel and Stevens, I mean there was still heat, but it was a noticeable difference. And this is coming from Bockwinkel, not me. So I mean the guy knew how to upset people, and later on in his career he knew how to entertain people just overall. And such a huge loss. But as you mentioned, it's not. You're saddened but not surprised. The man had just such a rough go with his health that I don't want to see anybody pass away, but at the same time, you kind of relieved in a sense that he's at peace now.
Yes, as they say, he's reunited with Gorilla now, who was legitimately one of his best friends in the business. Um,
Exactly.
we talk about certain big moments in people's careers, and um, obviously one of the biggest WrestleManias was WrestleMania 3, and for Hogan Andre. But Bobby Heenan, he gets some credit, but he doesn't get nearly enough credit for being a mouthpiece and helping to sell tickets and build up that match
Hmm.
to what it was. Especially if you go back and you look at the just the build up to that match. He was Andre's mouthpiece. he put asses in the seats for that WrestleMania. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard Jim Ross talk about this on one of the Legends roundtables, like on the network and stuff. He got one of the biggest paydays for a manager at that time for his work leading up to WrestleMania 3. So kudos to that man for the mouthpiece he was.
Definitely. And it's funny you think about that when you start. Kevin Smith has lots of different podcasts, but he talks about that, like losing parts of your childhood. And Bobby Heenan was definitely a part of both of our childhood, even though we didn't know him personally. It was a thing, it's like, well, there's another guy who, wow, can't believe he's gone. But what a great bunch of memories he left behind, and he'll certainly be missed. I don't know that any kind of memorial or eulogy that you or I can give will do justice to the man.
No, and it's a shame that WWE did not mention him enough in the past 10 years or so.
Yeah.
They did not bring up his name hardly at all the whole time. I was listening to Don Tony and Kevin Castle, and they were right. They treated him almost like he was an outcast. It's a shame, really. I mean, this is the greatest manager of all time, and you can't even give him a mention on TV.
Yeah, and I didn't see Raw this week, or at least not live. Did they do anything for him? Did they mention him then after he passed?
No, they did. It was a good tribute, but
okay.
It's fine. But the tribute was fine. But they brought up a good point. They did mention, like, if Bobby Heenan was, say, 6-9 years old, they probably would have given him a lot more time and credence. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because because of their stance on cancer and stuff. But I don't understand what happened. I don't know if they were. And it's not like they had a bad falling out. I know it wasn't a great parting of the ways when he left WWF and went to WCW. But I mean, come on, Bobby Heenan deserved better than that while he was alive.
He didn't leave on the worst of terms. I mean, there's been people who left on much worse terms and came back too. So I mean. Really,
exactly. I mean, if Warrior could come back to that kind of welcome, I mean, surely you could put Heenan on there. You know what I mean?